hegemon, there's no one controlling anything. We are constantly living in anarchy, and that is why states must do what they do to protect themselves and protect their state's sovereignty. These are state thinkers. The anarchical structure thus makes international relations a self-help system. Individual states must decide for themselves who or what is a threat and how to protect themselves. Who or what is a threat and how to... Oh, I said that. If they decide to report to war, nothing can stop them other than another state taking up arms. That is why war remains a constant possibility, because the structure of anarchy creates permissive conditions. So if I essentially start arming myself because I'm scared someone's going to take me over, another state might be like, oh, she's doing that, I'm going to do the same thing. So another person starts, building up arms, and so this continuous war will always happen because one, it's anarchic. Yeah, two states will do everything to protect themselves, which mainly goes into war. That is the basis of realism. Now, obviously, this isn't in-depth realism. I'm also still learning in-depth realism, but this is the overall arching idea. These are my very old notes, so they might not be as good because I've never looked over them. Now, we are going to talk about liberalism. Is another theory. Now, liberalism. Understand human history and nature as stories of progress. Progress based on constant improvement in science, human rights, economic and trade. This progress is only made possible through cooperation among states. Cooperation that is regulated, monitored, and diffused among the international community by institutions such as the UN, the United Nations, the World Bank, the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, and the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Cooperation among states through these institutions and through trade diminishes the conditioning effects of anarchy by creating absolute gains for states. So, essentially, these institutions that are in place, right, not only stop war, but also have other countries gain something from it. So when countries gain monetarily, they don't need to go to war, they don't need to take up arms, they need to be realist because everyone is gaining everything, so no one's upset. For example, China buys Australian coal and iron ore. Australia buys inexpensive China consumer goods. Both states are gaining something from each other. So that's why they need to go to war against each other, because one is winning and the other one is winning. Therefore, the interests of all states become intertwined and the cost of war is too high. Liberalism is not just a theory, it is also an ideology made up of moral, political doctrines, beliefs, and ideals. As a theory and an ideology, it straddles the great divide, offering a perspective on domestic and international politics. If anyone knows what the great divide is, that kind of explains why a lot of things happen as they do and why we have the world that we have today. If you don't know what the great divide is, touch up, or I can talk about it. It's it's a very simple concept essentially, but anyways, I'm not going to talk about it. The origins of liberal thought can be found in three areas of early modern thought. The first is rights discourse, so human property, human rights. Two is perpetual peace plans. Three, commercial discourse. Liberal democratic states have created a separate zone of peace among themselves. History shows that liberal democracies do not fight wars against each other. When they exercise peaceful restraint and establish security communities to avoid conflict. Liberal democracies have been just as guilty any other form of government for perpetrating and amplifying the dangers of war and tyranny. We can simplify the distinction between realism by recognizing that while realists are pessimistic about human nature and state relationships, liberals are more optimistic, and while realists focus on states, liberal focuses on the individual, prizing the individual above all else, asserting that the individual can do anything as long as it doesn't harm anyone or anything else. So this is how we break it down. Liberalism is the main key ideas of liberalism: individuals, institutions, liberty, cooperation, optimism, and progressive change. Realism: states, anarchy, security, conflict, pessimism, reassurance, and repetition. Those are my quick notes. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want